Hello and welcome to The Extra Mile. I'm Linda Boudreaux. Our guest today is Jeri Bushnell. Jeri is an old friend of mine, so it's really, really good to have her here today. She is, among other things, an artist, and we're going to be talking about some of her art and seeing some of what she does. But her life is very rich and full of all kinds of wonderful and interesting stories. So we're going to just meet and greet and get to know Jeri today. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
This is great. It's so good that you came.
Thank you.
You and I have known each other for a long, long time. And for a while you were actually teaching art at one of the programs that we have, which is Les Bon Amis, the activity center for the mentally ill. So you've been in the art world either as a teacher or an artist for a long time, huh?
That's correct.
How did you get started, Jeri?
Well, I don't know if I was in a class or where I was, but I started painting, and a very good friend of mine, Ann Barron, told me that she thought that I had some talent and that I should pursue it.
Was that a long time ago? Or
That was like back in the late 70s.
Okay, so you've been painting for a long, long time.
That's correct.
And when did you start painting, like for sale, or just kind of get your paintings out there? How long have you been doing that?
About 3 years.
So that's a
three
new
or
thing.
4 years.
Because I haven't seen you in several years, and you weren't doing this when I saw you last. So,
Right.
so what does painting do for you?
Oh, it's a stress exit.
Okay.
You know, it's a relief. It's therapy. It is just simply therapy. I mean, when I'm painting, I forget about all my problems. You know, I'm just focused on what I'm doing and learning new things. You know, I like to learn different ways to paint, and there's a lot to learn.
Yeah, there is. There is.
So, and then everybody encourages me, so that's nice. You know, they tell me how much they like my paintings, and that just keeps me, what's the word?
Going, huh? It's kind of it
keeps
fun.
me going. Yeah,
You know, it's really fun to be recognized for what we're good
It
at.
is.
And I mean, and I'm going to just say now and just kind of jump in, the fact is that you do have a mental health diagnosis. You have a diagnosis of bipolar disorder, which is really how we met.
That's correct.
And my sense is that a lot of times people that have bipolar disorder don't get a whole lot of kudos during a good part of their life. Is that a fair statement? Mostly they hear other things.
Yeah,
huh?
that's true, unfortunately.
So what has that experience been like, your journey through the mental health world, and to get to a place where you can sit here in front of a TV camera with your art behind you and be at such a good spot? What's that journey been like?
Well, it's had its ups and downs. I will, have to confess that it hasn't always been a rosy picture, but I just hang in there, because I've been down before, and I know that you can come up. You can get better, and a lot of it is finding the right doctor and getting on the right medications and working with your doctor. I think that's really important, because in mental health, they don't always get it right away.
Right.
Sometimes it takes a while.
It's not like you can do a blood test and say, okay, you have bipolar disorder, you're schizophrenic. There's no blood test to do the diagnosis for us, right?
That's correct, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But so we have to just roll with the punches, sort of, And I've been really lucky to have really good doctors, really good psychiatrists, and I think one of the difficult times is when they change your medicine.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to go through.
Yeah, it is.
But if you have a good doctor, and if you have a supportive family or friends, you can get through that. I remember one time, I've been hospitalized, let's say, 3 times in all. And the first time was back in the 70s, and I put myself into, I think it was Acadiana Medical Health or something.
Yeah.
Right where Lourdes was.
Yeah, back the old Acadiana Mental Health Center.
Right,
yes,
right.
Yes.
And I was in there for a week, and the one thing that I learned while I was in there is that there was a lot of people who had a lot bigger problems than I did. And if they could handle them, I could handle them, you know? So that was one thing. And then the other time was when I had decided that I didn't need the medicine, that I could heal myself with herbs and vitamins. Well, I think herbs and vitamins are wonderful, okay? But if you have a mental health issue, that's not all you need.
Probably herbs and vitamins are not going to do the job.
No, they're not going to do the job. And, you know, I mean, I'm on a multiple vitamin today, but my medicine that I get from the doctor is what keeps my mood stable.
Okay.
And what was I going to say? I just skipped my mind.
That's okay, it'll come to us.
Okay. Let's see.
And then the third time.
Oh, well, the third time is when they changed my medicine, and I got severely depressed and called an ambulance.
You called the ambulance?
I called the ambulance.
Do you know how powerful that is?
Well,
that's a big deal.
I had a choice. And my other alternative was pretty scary. Then I knew I didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
So I called the ambulance and I just said, you better come get me, because if you don't, I may do something really stupid, you know. So they did come get me.
Was that because you were feeling so sad, or I mean, for you, it was just it was a mood thing, or was it voices, or what was going on at that point? Do you remember?
Was a mood thing.
Okay.
I have the voices. I used to hear voices way back in the 70s when I came back from Colorado. And I don't know if that was a touch of schizophrenia or what it was, but it passed. You know, I felt like God was trying to punish me for some of the things I had done, you know, and I have learned since that God is not like that. You know, He's not a punishing God.
We're not about vengeance here.
No.
We will do ourselves harm, but God is not going to do it to us.
Right,
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So as the moods, then help yourself.
Thanks.
So then the moods sometimes can become overpowering. Is that what you're
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And the medications help. And that, I think one of the points that you want to make, or that you wanted to make, and that I certainly want to make, is that so much of this can be managed through proper treatment and care.
That's right.
And
That's
people
right.
can live wonderful, productive, happy, peaceful lives. Is that a fair statement?
Sure.
Looking at you today. I mean, look at you. You're gorgeous. You're wonderful. Look at
Thank
you.
you.
You know?
Thank you.
So what has it taken for you to do it?
Well, it takes, I think, a faith in God. I think that's an important
that non-vengeful
part to it.
God that we're talking
Right, a non-vengeful God.
Yeah.
You know, I think it takes faith, and it takes fortitude, loving yourself, as well as your friends and your family. I just remembered about the second time when I was in the hospital.
I knew it'd come back to you.
Yeah, it did come back to me. I went to the hospital, and I put myself in the hospital, basically. Okay, I told my husband, look, I need to go to the hospital. And so I drove myself there, and I waited, and I was praying because I was scared to death. And sure enough, the manager of the hospital who came out was a friend of mine, or a husband of a friend of mine. And so it was there on the weekend, and when my doctor came to see me on Monday, he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm depressed. I'm really depressed." And I said, I've tried all my vitamins, I've tried all my herbs, I've tried all my natural remedies, nothing's working, so I need you to tell me what to do. And he said, "Take your medicine." I just went, "It's that simple, huh?" He said, "Yeah, just take your medicine." And so I've been on medication ever since. That was in the 80s.
Okay, so you learned your lesson.
Yeah.
Right away.
Right.
Do you ever have to have it changed? Or yeah, you did. You said you had to have it adjusted one time. Huh?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 years ago, I had to have it changed because the medicine was affecting my kidneys.
Okay, so it wasn't that your mood or your mental health condition was changing. There were some physiological kinds of side effects as well.
And you see, polycystic kidneys is in my family. It was on my mother's side of the family. So my kidneys were more sensitive, to the medication. So when they found that out, they put me on another medicine. I've been doing really well. That's when I started painting and, you know.
When you got on that last medication?
Right. Right.
So that has really stabilized you then, because I think it's probably been about 3 or 4 years since we were working together at the Activity Center.
Right.
And and you were teaching art then. So
yeah.
Creativity is oftentimes, I think, an important aspect of recovery. You know, do you agree with that? The ability to create.
Yes, absolutely. I think doing what you've always wanted to do is really important.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think God, He makes us all different. We all have a gift. You know, we all have something that we're better at than other people, you know? And I think you need to find that, you know, ask yourself, make a list. You know, we were talking about that the other day at a NAMI meeting. Make a list of all the things you've wanted to do and start with the first one and try it, you know, just see how it works out. And I mean, it's like, here I am on television, you know, and
look at you.
I mean, I never would have guessed, but this is my dream come true because I like to help other people who have mental illnesses.
It's a very important thing to do.
It is. And I hear about people who suffer all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, all I can do is pray for them. You know, I mean, and that's very powerful.
But you know, for others, Jeri, and like right now, you are a role model. You are you're a peer, but you're able to show other people that yes, recovery is possible, recovery is real. Just by living your life and telling your story, you support other people's wellness. And that's, I know you know that through your NAMI work as well.
Right.
You know. So, now I forgot what I was going to ask. Oh, I know. Stigma. You know, what role does stigma play in the whole mental health world?
Role, unfortunately. I mean, you know, we just need to quit worrying about what everybody else thinks.
How easy it would be.
Yeah, right. And you know, I won't argue with the point that it is difficult sometimes. You know, to put yourself out there.
It's very scary.
Yeah, it is scary. But, you know, I was scared before I could walk down here today, and, you know, now I feel wonderful. Danny was helpful and, you know, has a good sense of humor, and you're here with me, and, you know, it's once you do it, it's not that scary. You know, you just have to decide that you're going to make the best of things and just, you know.
And what you did is just walk through your fear, huh?
Right.
It's okay if I'm afraid. I'm going to do it anyway.
Right. Well, see, what I do is I imagine that the Lord's standing next to me. You know, He says.
I'm thinking maybe He really is.
Sure, you know, sure He is. You know, and He says in the Bible that, you know, He's with us unto the ends of the world. You know, and never fear, and
so that'll get you through AOC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your art for a few minutes. We've got 3 paintings here that you brought, all very different.
Well, thank you for noticing that.
And absolutely beautiful, beautiful work. Now, you started this about 3 or 4 years ago. You got back into it. Is that right?
Right.
So, what is your medium? What do you use to paint?
Well, these are all watercolors.
These are okay.
They're all watercolors. Although I started out with charcoal.
So you drew it first.
Right. And charcoal is really easy because if you don't like it, you just wipe it off with your hand and start over, you know. So charcoal is a really good place to start. Then I went to oils, and oils is easy because it takes so long to dry that if you come back the next day and you don't like it, you could change it. Okay. So that was all. Then I went to acrylics. And I liked acrylics, and then I went to pastels. Ooh. And when I started doing pastels, that's when I learned, that's when I started showing my work.
Okay.
So that was a big step for me.
That's a huge step. That's again, that's another way of putting yourself out there.
Right, right. And we would show our work at City Hall.
Were you with the Lafayette Art Association at that time? Because I know they'll do displays at City Hall.
Right. Yeah, it could have been. I'm not sure, but it could.
But it was somebody, and you had your work at City Hall anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And let's see, then after I did pastels, I did some pen and ink, I think. And I've done a little bit of a lot of different things. And
But now you're doing watercolor.
but now I'm doing watercolor. Now I'm getting ready to do acrylics, though,
You're going back.
for this
huh?
gentleman who wants me to do a painting of the swamp for him.
Okay, tell us. Well, let's kind of finish with this, and I want to hear about that painting. But when
Okay.
you said like with charcoal and with oil, it's really easy to change.
Mm-hmm.
Is watercolor easy to change?
Not so much.
So you need to try to get it right the first time.
Well, the funny part the part that I find strange about it is that a lot of people that talk to me and see that I do watercolors, they go, "Oh, that's hard." You know,
That's what I've always heard.
Yeah, I have so many people that tell me that, "Oh, that's really hard. I would never do watercolor. That's hard." Well, I don't find it that hard. You know.
Well, maybe it's because you're the artiste.
Well, maybe so. Maybe it's the artist in me.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe so.
know. But I just.
Did you take lessons?
Oh yes.
Okay,
Oh
okay.
yes. I'm always in a class somewhere.
You know, that doesn't, that not only teaches you stuff, it helps you to meet new people. Huh?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And you learn from your teacher, and you learn from other people, and you know, it's just great. You know, being able to be in a class. And right now, I'm in 2 classes.
What are you
so.
taking right now?
Watercolor.
Okay, both of them are watercolor.
Mm-hmm. Well, the one of them is acrylic. I'm doing acrylic in one of them
Okay.
right now, but the other one is I do watercolors.
Okay. Well, let's talk about this middle picture right here.
Okay.
Okay. So this one is an absolutely beautiful watercolor, but it looks a little different. It doesn't. It looks like it. It looks a little different. Tell us about it.
It is different, and you know, I'm not really sure exactly how I came by getting the brown in there. It either was brown paper to start with, or, and I'll keep wanting to come back to that word Conti, C-O-N-T-I, and I'm not sure that I just did the Conti, you know, like over the paper, and that's how it got brown, or if it was brown paper, I just don't remember. But it's a pen and ink, okay? Or maybe just pen. But the one thing that I like about this painting is if you notice the rocks right here,
Yeah.
they have, the reason they stand out is because of the black in between the rocks.
Right.
Okay? And that was a hard lesson for me because I had somebody one time, one teacher tell me, "You don't like the darks, do you?" And I had done a painting, and I used to live in Colorado, so there's rocks everywhere in Colorado.
Right.
Okay, you're always looking at rocks. And I did a painting, and I really was afraid to put the black in there to differentiate between the rocks, okay? Until I met this friend of mine who was a very talented artist. And he said, "I'm going to show you the difference that it makes if you put the darks between the rocks." And so he took my painting. This was a different painting, and he put the dark in there. Well, when you look at that painting now, your eye goes right to the rocks.
It just made them pop, huh?
It makes them pop out. That's right. And so, and when I did this painting, I made sure that I put the black in between the rocks, and I was really proud of myself. Even though it's small, I still did it the right way. I put the black in there, and
you have black in some other places
Right.
as well. So
Yeah,
and they all stand out. It all stands out.
right. You know,
Now, where did you do this one?
that was at Lynn Fontenot's,
Okay. Okay.
and she's a wonderful teacher.
So there was a story behind this, dealing with another painting that you've been commissioned to do, huh?
Right. Well, I was at the horse farm one day.
You have a booth at the horse farm, so
Right.
just to get this in before we get too late.
Right.
Anybody wants to go see your work and talk to you about your work, you're at the horse farm on
Right.
Saturdays.
Right.
Okay.
Every Saturday from 8 to 12.
Okay.
Except on the third Saturday it's 8 to 1.
Okay.
And I had my cards out there, and he came up to me, and I'd met him before. A really nice gentleman, just really sweet. And he said, "Well, I would like for you to do a swamp picture for me, you know, with the cypress and the knees and the cypress trees in the water, and maybe a heron or a snow egret or whatever, you know. And so I said, well, yeah, I'd be happy to do it. So we're working on that, okay? I'm going to do a sketch for him, and he's going to see how he likes it, and then we're going to, he wants it on linen, okay?
Oh, my.
So that's different. I've never done a painting on linen before. So this is, but it's going to be acrylic on linen.
Okay.
So it's going to be a new experience for me.
It will be.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, but as the story goes, he wanted these birds in there, large birds, wading birds, I guess you call them. And when Lynn came home one day with her friend Jenny, they, I think it was Jenny, they pulled in her driveway. Now she lives right on Cully Saloon, okay? So it's a busy street, you know? And here was this egret. I don't know if it was a cattle egret or what it was, but it was an egret, and it was like right there where I did that painting. And it was hopping around on different things, and they just sat there and watched this bird, you know? And then they started talking about the fact that Jeri had just gotten commissioned to do a piece right here. I mean, not here, but you know, a swamp scene with these kind of birds in it, you know. So they just thought that was kind of like a good sign.
I think it is a good sign.
A good sign.
It is a good sign.
So anyway, so that's how that came about.
Now, and this one keeps calling my name. This painting right here. We're going to see if we can get a good shot of it. Tell me about this one.
Well, I found this picture in my house, and I have no idea where it came from. But it looks to me like it was a shot taken from up above looking down in the basin, of a basin, because that's like, that's a swamp scene also. And the only thing I could figure out is that my former husband had maybe was in a duck blind or something and took a picture, you know, looking down or something. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing. I really don't know, you know, how it came about. But I liked the colors in it.
I love the colors.
That's what I like in that.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and you can see the cypress trees.
Yeah,
you know,
right down in here.
Right.
It's great.
Yeah.
You do cards, right? So, like, I'm just going to hold up these cards, but you'll do a painting, and then you have your painting turned into cards. These are note cards, right? So this is something too that we can get.
Right, Lowry's does the cards for me.
Okay. Now, what I like, you know, you said on the very back, I was diagnosed with a bipolar disorder, and thanks to God, my doctor, and my medications, I am able to lead a productive life. So you've got that on the back of all your cards.
Right.
Why did you decide to put this message on the back of your art?
Because that's what I'm all about. That's my goal. That's my purpose in life, is to help other people, you know, who have a mental diagnosis. That's what makes me tick.
So it's everywhere you go then, you put the word out.
Right.
And I'm looking at your note cards, they're absolutely wonderful. And so tell me about, we only have a couple minutes, I don't want to get launched in anything too deep, but tell me about what it's like at the horse farm. How is that going, and how's everything over there?
Wonderful. It is so wonderful. Molly Richard is the director. She is so easy to get along with. She just, you know, is accommodating to everybody. Everybody is nice to everybody. You know, they help me because I can't lift a lot of heavy weight. And so there's always, you know, another person there that helps me unload my car and reload it. And, you know, it's just a great place to be. I mean, it's free. You can just walk around. You know, there's produce. There's arts and crafts.
How's the parking over there?
The parking is not a problem because the vendors park behind the Regions Bank.
Okay.
You know, and so the parking, they can park like right next to the farmer's market. Okay. You know, and so it's very convenient.
Well, if I go out there on a Saturday morning, I could probably find you.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I need to come out and look. In the last 30 seconds, Jeri, that we have left, what do you want to be the takeaway from today's show for people watching?
Well, I would like them to rethink mental health. and realize that it's a disorder just like any other, you know? I mean, like, you know, if you have a heart failure or liver disease or whatever, you know, kidney disease, I mean, it's not any different than those. It's just, you know, it's, you have to go to where you can get help.
Exactly.
You know? And I just think that people need to understand that it's okay. It's okay to have a mental diagnosis.
Yeah.
You know.
And we all need to understand that.
Right.
Family members, friends, as well as peers.
Right.
Okay, thank you. We're out of time, but it's been wonderful visiting with you.
Thank you.
So thanks for coming. Thanks for bringing your art. And thank you for watching The Extra Mile.